The message came in at 9:13 p.m. on a Thursday. 1 week to change or I'm gone. No greeting, no punctuation on gone. I didn't respond. I set the phone down on the kitchen table and looked across at the empty chair. She'd been sitting there earlier, her tea mug still full, the cushion slightly turned. She left the room mid-sentence. I hadn't noticed until now. Upstairs, the shower was running. Loud, too hot, she always came out flushed, almost scalded. She said it helped her think. This wasn't a fight, we hadn't fought. The week had passed in silence, punctuated by logistics, reminders, receipts, dentist appointments. Nothing you could call an argument, but now she'd drawn a line. 7 days, I stayed at the table. Nothing about that message felt spontaneous. She didn't speak in ultimatums, not unless she was halfway through the exit. She asked me a week ago if I was happy. I told her I wasn't sure. She didn't wait for a follow-up. The phone buzzed again, but it was a calendar notification, nothing from her. I ignored it, pushed the mug aside and leaned back, listening for her footsteps on the stairs. Nothing yet. She came down 5 minutes later, towel around her hair, sweatshirt slung off one shoulder. Her phone was already in hand, not checking anything, just holding it like armor. She glanced once at mine, still face down on the table, then walked to the kettle without a word. I watched her, then spoke calmly. "Did you send that to start a conversation or to end one?" She paused, not long enough to make it a real silence. "It's not about starting anything, it's about what I need." She didn't turn fully toward me, didn't ask what I thought she needed. That told me she wasn't interested in the answer. She'd written the outcome already. This was delivery. I nodded once. Not agreement, just acknowledgement. I wasn't going to argue with a script. She stirred her tea with that honey spoon she always left on the counter instead of rinsing. The smallest acts say the most. Then she sat in the armchair by the window, laptop open, eyes flicking through tabs. The kind of browsing that isn't reading, just motion. I didn't speak again. I didn't ask her to explain. I reached for my phone once more, stared at the message a final time. 1 week to change or I'm gone. I didn't need a week. I already knew what I'd do. The next morning I woke up before her. Not because I planned to, I just did. She was turned away from me, breathing steady, hand curled beneath her jaw. Nothing staged, that was the problem. The normalcy was intact. Her body language hadn't shifted, but something underneath had. I got up quietly and didn't touch my phone right away. I didn't want to read the message again. I remembered every word. Downstairs, I poured coffee and opened the shared calendar on my laptop. We'd kept one for 4 years. Everything from grocery lists to meeting times to flight confirmations. She used it religiously. So did I, but now there were gaps. A block of time marked wellness seminar on Wednesday night, no location listed. Another on Saturday labeled restorative session, also without details. She never used vague labels. It wasn't her style. I clicked the edit history. Both entries were added the day after she sent that message. She came downstairs an hour later, wearing running tights and the slate hoodie she never exercised in. Hair up, earbuds in. Said she was heading to the gym. I looked at her shoes. Wrong pair, she always ran in a 6. These were lifestyle sneakers, hardly worn. She caught me glancing and smiled like nothing was out of place. "Want anything while I'm out?" I shook my head. "No, I'm good." She kissed my cheek. Her lips were warm, her breath still smelled like toothpaste. It could have passed for any other morning. But it was. As the door closed behind her, I opened the Lyft app on my phone. I hadn't used it in months, but she had. Her account was still logged in from the last time she used my phone to call a ride home from a wine night. Her ride history was clean, too clean. The recent ones were gone. Only 2 remained from 3 weeks ago, both daytime errands. I checked the timestamp on the app's update. She reinstalled it yesterday. Wiped the history. I sat back, took a breath. Her mistake wasn't covering her tracks, it was doing it halfway. At 11:23 a.m. she texted me a photo of a juice bar, green smoothie, recycled cup, captioned with a peace sign emoji. The background was wrong. I'd never seen that location. I reverse searched the storefront through Google Lens and matched it to a strip mall across town. No gyms nearby, but there was a private studio above it, massage therapy and wellness coaching. I didn't ask about it, didn't question the photo. At 3:40 p.m., she got home in a new outfit, jeans, hair brushed out, no gym bag. She handed me a sandwich she said she picked up for me. Her face was calm, normal. I thanked her, ate half, watched her scroll on the couch. She looked up once. "You okay today?" I nodded slowly. "Just a quiet day," she smiled. "That's good." I let that hang between us. She leaned back, relaxed, phone still in her hand. The ring light from her screen reflected in her eyes. I watched her fingers move, small patterns like she was in an app she didn't want mirrored on the TV. I knew the body language, the way you hold a screen low when you don't want someone to glance. At 5:17 p.m. she got a text. I watched her expression. Nothing visible changed, just a blink and a longer exhale. Then she typed something fast and locked the phone. Dinner was spaghetti. We ate like any other night. She asked about my clients, told me a story about a coworker's new puppy. Nothing in her tone betrayed anything, nothing in her eyes, but her calendar was blank for tomorrow completely. That never happened. I washed the dishes while she watched a show. She didn't ask me to sit beside her. That was the tell. She was done performing connection. Now she was only maintaining it. By midnight, I had a second phone in a drawer, an old iPhone I kept from a client install, reset and unlinked. I opened a new email, reinstalled tracking apps. No more watching. I was recording now. By the third day, the world split into two timelines. There was the one where we lived side by side, eggs in the morning, emails exchanged, background noise from the news. She'd show me shoes on her phone and ask which color looked better. I'd say the black ones. She'd kiss my shoulder and keep scrolling. And then there was the other one. The version I watched unfold through the phone I'd hidden behind a false book spine in my office cabinet. The version she didn't know I could see. I'd mirrored her device using a security sync protocol I originally built to protect client data. She left her Bluetooth open and I was careful. No alerts, no traces. It wasn't full access, just enough. Location pings, app usage, browser logs, calendar edits. Monday afternoon, she canceled a virtual meeting with her manager. The entry vanished from her calendar mid-session. 15 minutes later, she was 3 neighborhoods away in the parking lot of a residential duplex. The street name caught my eye, Coldwater Avenue. It meant nothing to me until I pulled up our couple's therapy receipts from 4 months back. Her name and his name, Dr. K, linked to a billing address on Coldwater. I didn't react, didn't write it down, just sat at my desk and let the silence stretch until my hands stopped shaking. That night she made chili and left the sour cream on the counter, something she always reminded me not to do. I put it back in the fridge without a word. She handed me a bowl like everything was normal. Still like the 3-bean version. I nodded, sure. I didn't taste a bite of it, not because I couldn't, because I didn't need to. While we watched TV, I kept my phone angled low on my thigh, letting the screen brightness dim to its lowest setting. Her mirrored device showed limited data, but the patterns were loud. Telegram installed 2 weeks ago. Auto-deleted messages every 24 hours. No username I recognized. Every now and then she'd glance over at me and smile like she was grateful we were in a better place. Tuesday, she wore the green dress I hadn't seen since our anniversary dinner 2 years ago. Said she was meeting a friend from her old office, one I'd only heard her mention twice. No calendar event for it. No contact entry. Just a name she said too quickly. I tracked her to the west side. She never went west. Not unless it was work-related. But she wasn't anywhere near a commercial district. She stopped moving on the map for over 2 hours. When she came home, she carried fresh groceries and said she'd pick them up on the way back. Her tone was breezy, practiced, like she knew I wouldn't ask for details. She poured 2 glasses of wine and handed me one with a gentle smile. "You've been quieter this week, thinking about what I said." I met her eyes. "Every day." She looked down at her glass and nodded. "That means a lot." I sipped the wine slowly. She drank faster. That night when she fell asleep first, I sat on the edge of the bed and opened the GPS history. She hadn't stopped at the store she mentioned. She hadn't been anywhere near it. Coldwater Avenue again. I locked the phone and lay back beside her, her arm draped across my chest in her sleep like nothing had changed. And maybe to her nothing had. She de-warned me. She de-said it out loud. 1 week to change, but she wasn't watching for change. She was watching for cover. That's when I knew she didn't want to leave. She wanted to be the one left behind. By Thursday, she doubled down on warmth. She was making the bed every morning again, hospital corners, throw pillows arranged like we were listing the place. Every time I walked into the kitchen, something new had been wiped, folded, aligned. Our home started to look like a demo unit. She laughed more. Not loudly, not artificially, but deliberately. She touched my hand during dinner. Ask about my clients by name as if she'd been thinking about them. She brought home an almond croissant, said she'd passed the bakery and remembered I liked the ones with the marzipan center. That detail wasn't wrong. It was just rehearsed. She didn't forget things now. She remembered too much. Dates, preferences, playlists, little callbacks to us. As if stitching together a narrative we hadn't lived in months. And all of it, every smile, every lean in, every soft touch, landed like bait. I matched it, not perfectly, just enough to stay in character. I'd learned early in my life, people will always tell you the truth when they believe you're still playing your part, so I asked if she wanted to go hiking Saturday. She lit up too fast. Yes, absolutely, that sounds perfect. Her pupils didn't dilate. Her voice didn't catch. There was no real excitement, just compliance. She'd already made plans for Saturday. I'd seen the ping in her location cache, an address saved in her Waze app bookmarked 3 days prior. I wrote it down in my notebook. 7/22/10:30 a.m. Union Hill Townhomes, Building D. That evening she opened a bottle of the Bordeaux I'd been saving. No special occasion, no reason. Thought it might be nice, she said. She poured 2 glasses, clinked hers gently against mine. To progress, I raised mine slowly. To whatever this is. Her smile cracked just barely. Then it was gone. Later in bed, she put her hand on my chest and asked if I still found her attractive. I didn't answer right away. Her voice didn't waver. You used to look at me like I was something you'd earned. Now you just look through me. I turned toward her. That's not true. She searched my face for something. She didn't find it. We slept back to back that night. Her hand stayed on my side of the bed for a while before pulling back. Friday, I got confirmation. A flagged charge hit our joint account, one she forgot to route through her personal card. A room deposit at the Monarch Inn. 2 guests Saturday check-in. Booking made under her maiden name. The same name she used for spa packages, never for travel. That afternoon I tested something. I suggested we cancel the hike. Told her I might need to take a last-minute meeting. She hesitated fractionally. Then gave a light shrug. That's okay. We'll go another weekend. No pushback. No disappointment. Just the calm of a person who'd already found an out. I spent that evening staging a digital trail, logged into our streaming account and queued up a hiking documentary. Used my phone to Google trail maps and weather patterns. Left the tabs open. I left a trail because I wanted her to believe I was still trying. At 11:18 p.m., while she was brushing her teeth, I copied the Monarch Inn reservation to a secure flash drive. Added the screenshots of her GPS pattern and the mirrored telegram pings. I wasn't building a case. I was building clarity for me. No confrontation yet. No fireworks, just proof that what I'd felt wasn't projection. It was math. And on paper, the math was done. She wasn't slipping up anymore. She was choosing not to care if I noticed. That was the final stage. The part of the play where the actors stop pretending it's for the audience, because they've already rehearsed the ending. Saturday came fast. She woke up early before me, which she never did on weekends, claimed she couldn't sleep, then busied herself with breakfast. Eggs, toast, cut fruit. She hovered by the counter like someone playing the role of a settled woman. "You sure you've got to work today?" she asked without looking up. Her voice was bright, casual, but her fingers tightened on the edge of the plate. I gave a slow nod. "Clients flying in unexpectedly. I'll probably be back late." She met my eyes, nodded once, and went back to arranging the toast like it mattered. By 10:22 a.m., she was out the door with a travel bag slung over one shoulder, the same one she used when we went away for the weekend. I watched her from the upstairs window, how she walked, how she didn't look back. She didn't drive her own car. That told me something new. She was being picked up. I already had the license plate from the mirrored Lyft data, 4 rides with the same car ID in the last 6 weeks. A black Honda Accord, registered to a Matthew Klein. The name meant nothing to me, but I had a destination. I gave it 15 minutes before I left. The Monarch Inn was 28 minutes away if I took the toll route. I drove slower than usual. I wasn't chasing her. I was clarifying what I already knew. The front desk was easy. I wore a windbreaker, dark jeans, carried a clipboard I borrowed from my office. Said I was there to verify emergency protocols for overnight guests. Gave them a name, hers. Told them she'd reported a broken smoke detector. They gave me a key card without checking her ID. I thanked them, kept walking. Room 314. I stood outside the door for a long moment, not because I was nervous, because I listened first. Voices, too. Low, male and female, not an argument. Not conversation either. Rhythmic, familiar. I didn't open the door, I didn't knock. I slid the keycard into the reader, heard the click, then turned and walked back to the elevator. I didn't need to see it, I already knew. Downstairs, I sat in the car and wrote down the time. 11:14 a.m. marked it against the GPS ping. Saved the audio from the hallway recorder I'd clipped to my shirt collar. I wasn't building a case. I was done with cases. She wasn't improvising anymore. She'd memorized the whole performance. The bag, the ride, the timed departure, everything carefully placed, except for the cracks. The one she left open because she believed I still loved her too much to open the door. She didn't realize I'd already walked through a different one. I didn't go home. I drove to my office, shut the blinds, and opened a folder I hadn't touched in months. Emergency contracts. Inside, lease paperwork for a rental I never used, a P.O. box in my name, a bank account she didn't know existed. By 3:00 p.m. I had my mailing address changed. Redirected statements, set up my phone to forward voicemails to a transcriber app. At 4:10 she texted, "Hope the client thing wasn't too brutal. Want me to heat up leftovers?" I didn't answer. I let it sit. She was still playing out her scene, still pretending we were in the same act. But the third door had opened now, the one behind the stage, the one she never saw, and I'd already stepped through it. Sunday morning she curled up beside me like nothing had changed. Same lavender body wash, same oversized shirt that used to be mine. She tucked her feet under my leg and reached for the remote like we were picking a movie, not living two separate lives. "You feel distant again," she said without looking at me. I didn't flinch. "You feel rehearsed." She laughed, quiet and cautious. "That's not fair." I didn't answer. The thing about mirrors, real mirrors, is they reflect what's in front of them. But what she'd built wasn't a reflection. It was a projection. A version of us where she was still the partner, I was still the problem, and everything that followed her Saturday disappearances was none of my business. I'd stopped asking questions. That unsettled her more than any accusation ever could. I watched her body language tighten through the day, each silence she couldn't interpret, each glance I didn't return. She tried anchoring us back to routine, suggested brunch, wore perfume she hadn't used in months, played our old playlist in the car like she was trying to pull me into a flashback. It didn't work. She knew it didn't work. By noon, she was scanning me like a mark. "Are you okay?" she asked at the restaurant mid-bite. Her tone was light, her fork paused above the plate like she was weighing whether to press or pivot. "I'm fine." "That's not what I asked." I met her eyes. "You're asking if I believe you. I don't." The air didn't break, it just went still. She blinked once, then smiled like it hadn't landed. "Believe me about what?" I let the silence hang. I didn't blink back. She looked down at her plate, then set the fork down carefully, aligning it with the knife. "I'm not sure what you think you're seeing," she said slowly, voice quieter now. "I'm not seeing anything," I said. "Not anymore, that's the issue." We drove home in silence. Later, I watched her pace the kitchen, not agitated, calculated. She opened the fridge 3 times without taking anything out. She realigned the magnets on the side, wiped a non-existent smudge off the counter. Then she turned toward me. "If you've already made up your mind, just say it." I kept my gaze on the document I was reviewing. "Why would I say anything? You told me what you needed, I gave it to you." "I didn't ask for silence," she said. "No, you asked for change." She hesitated. I could see it. That brief flicker where the mask slips and you realize the other person isn't playing the same game anymore. She stepped closer, voice gentler now. "James, if I've made you feel unimportant, that wasn't my intention." "I know." I looked up. That was never your intention. That's why it worked. Her face changed, not guilt, not fear, calculation. She was assessing how much I knew and how much I'd admit. I gave her neither. That night she leaned against the bathroom door as I brushed my teeth. Her posture was open, performative, like a wife trying to reconnect. I meant what I said earlier, she murmured. I nodded, spit, rinsed. Back in bed, she reached for me. I let her hand rest on my arm, unmoving. You're not letting me in, she whispered. You're not knocking, I said, then rolled away. She didn't respond, didn't try again. I lay there in the dark and listened to her breath shift, long, sharp inhales that didn't sound like sleep. I wondered if she was rehearsing a new scene, rewriting dialogue, preparing for damage control, but I was already outside the mirror. I wasn't interested in watching her reflection anymore. I waited until Tuesday, not because I needed more proof. I'd had enough for days. I waited because I wanted silence on my side, clean space. No emotion she could twist, no heat she could throw water on. That morning she kissed me goodbye like she always did, hand to my jaw, soft touch of lips that used to mean something. I didn't react, she didn't notice. At 11:46 a.m. she texted me a photo of a salad and wrote, "Still trying to eat clean. Progress, right?" I didn't respond, I printed it. By the time she walked through the door that night, everything was arranged. Documents in a black folder on the table, one copy of the hotel invoice, 2 printed Lyft confirmations, 4 screenshots, telegram logs, GPS pings, the monarch in check-in confirmation, and the calendar she thought she'd erased. She came in humming, shopping bag in one hand. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the folder closed in front of me. I didn't look up until she put her keys down. She stopped mid-step, catching the stillness in the room. "What's going on?" she asked carefully. I nodded to the folder. "Go ahead, it's all in there." Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't move. "What is?" I kept my tone flat. "The last 3 months, every time you said you were going to the gym or a seminar or seeing Claire." I tilted my head slightly. "You haven't seen Claire since March." She didn't reach for the folder. She didn't have to. She already knew what was inside. I waited. Let the silence stretch long enough to make her choose how she wanted to lose. She pulled out the chair across from me, sat slowly, folded her hands once, then unfolded them. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said finally. I nodded. "I know." She opened her mouth again, then stopped. Her jaw flexed, but she didn't cry. She wouldn't, not yet. That wasn't the angle she was choosing. She was still trying to find a strategy. I leaned forward. "You said you wanted 1 week to see if I could change. I gave you silence, space, and every chance to speak first. I didn't think you'd—" She stopped again. "I didn't think you'd trace it all back. I didn't think I had to," I said, "until you gave me a script and forgot I already knew how it ends." Her face didn't fall, it hardened. "So what now? You serve me papers, that's it?" "No," I said, "not yet." She blinked, her lips parted slightly. "Then what?" I tapped the folder. "You have until Friday to clear out your things. After that, I change the locks." She straightened up. "You're not even going to talk about it." I met her eyes. "We're talking now. You can say whatever you want. You just can't rewrite any of it." Her shoulders dropped half an inch, the first real exhale. She looked down at her hands and picked at a chipped edge of nail polish. "I was scared," she said quietly. I stayed still. "I felt alone. I didn't know how to tell you what I needed." I let that sit. "So you told someone else?" She didn't answer. After a long silence, she asked, "How long have you known?" "Long enough to stop hoping." The words landed harder than I expected. She flinched, looked away. "You're not angry," she said, almost to herself. "No," I said, "I'm clear." She nodded slowly. It was the first honest thing she'd done in weeks. I stood, picked up the folder and slid it across the table. "I'm not here to tear this apart. I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to answer any questions from your friends or your mother." Her voice cracked barely. "Then what are you going to do?" I walked to the door, opened it, and held it there. "Let you leave." She didn't leave that night. She stayed quiet, drifting room to room like she was trying to memorize it all. She stood in the hallway longer than usual, pressed her hand against the frame of our bedroom door like it might open to something else. I watched her from the living room. She didn't know, or didn't care. At 11:17 p.m. she came in, barefoot, hair still damp from a shower I never heard run. "Do you want me to sleep in the guest room?" Her voice was stripped down, no performance in it. For the first time in weeks, maybe longer, it was honest. I nodded once. Yeah. She didn't ask why, just walked away slowly. I didn't follow. The next morning I left before she woke up, dropped the envelope with my name removed from all shared accounts into the FedEx box on 5th Street. At 9:03 a.m. the locksmith arrived. I met him outside, kept it quiet, professional. He was done in 23 minutes. By 10 a.m. her keys no longer worked. She texted at 11:16, "Can we talk tonight?" I didn't answer. At 1:32 I sent a single message. "Your things are boxed and labeled in the storage unit. Codes the same as before. Please have them out by Friday." No signature, no opening line, no emotion. She called 3 times. I didn't pick up. The 4th time she left a voicemail. I didn't listen. I read the transcription. "You don't have to do it like this. I made mistakes, but this is cold. I didn't think you'd shut me out completely." That was the point. I spent the rest of the day in the office, canceled my calendar for the week, sat at my desk and worked through documents I hadn't had the capacity for in months. I moved everything to the new bank, deleted all saved passwords, closed the joint credit line, rerouted every billing address. By 5:45 I had a new phone number on standby. One push and she'd never reach me again. I stared at the screen for a long time before setting it down. I didn't push it, not yet. There was nothing left to sever, but I wanted her to feel the edge anyway. That night I opened the apartment door and walked from room to room like I'd never lived there. Everything looked cleaner, not in the literal sense, but in its silence. The picture frames were still up, her shoes still by the entry. But the weight was gone. At 8:12 p.m. she sent one more message. "You don't even want closure." I almost laughed. Closure. The word people use when they want to stay in your life without the burden of honesty. I left her on read. I wanted her to see the check mark. Wanted her to know she still existed long enough for me to confirm I didn't care to reply. By Thursday she'd retrieved her things. The storage unit app pinged a code entry at 3:03 p.m. 37 minutes later, the alert confirmed it was locked again. I changed the code at 3:45. I didn't ask if she took everything. If she left something behind, it wasn't mine to keep. I didn't tell anyone, no social post, no explanations. I didn't answer when her sister called. Didn't engage when my buddy Matt texted. "Heard you guys are going through something." Going through? No. That's what you do with storms or tunnels. This wasn't something to pass through. This was a wall I built and locked behind me.